Check, check, 1, 2.
$6:30. Yes, 6:30.
You're always a little slow.
I know. But I get done quick. Not gonna turn 6:30, huh?
Maybe not.
Wonder he said it before it goes.
Yeah.
Shoot your rocket so many dang times. We got 3 to 5 then at 6:30 already. You mind? How come mine's 6:31 now?
You know what? It went from 6:29 to 6:31. Now we're late. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome. We have a special presentation tonight that we're going to start with. Chief, you want to do this? Sure. And we'd like to have it done up here so we can get it on camera and stuff.
Absolutely.
There's a microphone up here, Chief.
Okay, you want me to use this one?
Yeah.
All right. Adam, Jason, do you want to come up front and center here? I can. John? Mayor, members of the council, appreciate the opportunity to make this presentation this morning, and there's several people to thank here. As you know, over the last few years, the police department's been interested in trying to do some youth activities on the south side of town, specifically in the area Discovery School and related to soccer and basketball and some of those things. So over the course of time, I had some conversations with Adam. We moved some basketball courts over there, hoops over there, and they're going to be installed. And we had a conversation with John about possibly securing a grant to help expand on that ability to provide recreational activities for Wade Park youth. And John applied to the Burnix Family Foundation. And so I guess this is an example of a kind of public-private collaboration in an area that it's needed. And I'm very excited about the possibility that we're going to be able to afford kids a place to play and to learn. We hope to expand our youth soccer program and some of those kinds of things. So I hope you guys will maybe say a word or two. Adam Holm from the school district, John, and then Jason Burnick is here. So thank you.
We're so excited about this partnership. You know, we've talked to the mayor a lot about giving students opportunities to play during the school day, after school, and on weekends. And we partnered with the local Boy Scouts, who's going to be in collaboration with the district to create hopefully 3 to 5 brand new soccer fields, 2 new basketball courts on the resurface. We already have a fabulous tennis center. So it's just a great opportunity. You know, we're so thankful for this and for John that he wrote it, Ben to help collaborate, but most important, our mayor, who pulls me out there all the time, and I know we met with you. What can we do to get all of our students involved? And thank you so much for this, because we're truly going to impact our whole 742 community thanks to this grant.
John? Yeah, go ahead. John, did you want to say anything?
About that. This is giving back to the community in this one way I do, and I want to thank Jason and Burnix for making this for our community. It's going to make a difference for our kids. Thank you.
I guess I just want to say thank you too, because it means a lot to the community and to me. Yeah, that's it for me.
Well, Jason, thanks so much for the generous support from the Burnix Family Foundation, and very much appreciated. And I'll give you the mic for a second.
Oh, sure. Well, it's really good to be a part of this project, and really appreciate the opportunity to have a little bit of fun here at the meeting tonight. And this playground will be kind of in our back door with our business, and it's really important, not just for you know, the Wade Park community, but we support the community wherever we go and wherever we do business. And certainly Wade Park is right at the heart of all that. Giving back to the community is something that's really been part of our history since we started in 1916. And now that we have more resources, giving back is a bigger piece of that giving, and it's important to us because it's helps make a stronger community, and it's this strong community that's helped us maintain our business for that 104 years that we've been around. So it's an honor to be part of this, and really appreciate this opportunity.
All right, photo op. Just for the audience too that might be listening, Burnix Family Foundation is giving a check for $20,000 to help with this park project. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, again, thanks a lot, and thanks to Burnix and John and the Park Department and everybody for putting this all together, so. All right, review and approve council agenda.
Move to approve as is.
I'll second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passed unanimously. Consent agenda. Item A, approve 2020 purchase dockable Dell laptop computers. Item B, approve temporary Minnesota lawful gambling permit for Apollo Eagles Diamond Club booster. Item C, approve partnership with Central Minnesota Mental Health Center Child Response Initiative. Item D, approve special animal license for Raina McLeland. Item E, approve Erickson Electric Company proposal to repair CT cabinet at City Hall. Item F, approve 2 one-day temporary liquor license for St. Joseph Church. Item G, approve resolution approving 28th Avenue roundabout project. And item H, approve resolution approving County Road 75 concrete work.
Yeah, just a point of note for G and H. Did both resolutions read the same in your packet?
Except, they are, with the
They look
exception.
so similar.
They
I
are
can't
exactly the
tell.
same, except for one refers to County Road 75, and then the other one is roundabout. I had to look at them twice too, because they came
That's
from the
like
town.
one of my-
They came from the county,
That
yeah.
they're doing this year, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I'll move
I'd
to
like to
approve.
pull C.
Do you want to approve A, B, D, E, F, G, H?
So move.
I'll second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passed unanimously. Item C.
Well, see, I'd just like to have Dave maybe explain this partnership that we have here and why we're probably going to approve it tonight for him.
Sure.
So that people just understand really what the police department and the city are doing to help the community.
Right. Appreciate the opportunity to do that, actually. Our support for the CAC, this will probably be the third year that we've done this. By working with the Child Advocacy Center, which is part of Centricare, is when you have a child victim of a sex assault, the ability for us to collaborate with the CAC for that child to be interviewed by a trained forensic interviewer. Okay. Now we can choose to train and have somebody on staff, which we did, but there's a couple things with that. One, positions change, and so we were constantly training different investigators to work and to be able to do a corner house interview when you have a young child victim. So this partnership with the CAC basically allows us to, it reduced our ongoing training costs and gives us access to an experienced and trained forensic interviewer that can work with us to help that child victim. And it's called Corner House Training. It's a specialized forensic interviewing for young children. And it's a great partnership for us to be able to work with Centric Care in this way.
All right, thanks.
Move to approve C.
Second.
Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Regular agenda item A, Asteria Hotel License Renewal. Jeff?
Mayor and council, I put a memo in your packets. Hopefully you've all had a chance to read that. All I can say is the place is, there's no violation sitting there. I talked to the county health department today. They are ready to issue the license. And if you got any questions, myself and the owner are here. So Hem Bhakta is sitting there. So if you have questions, I'm ready to answer them.
I do have one.
Sure.
2 weeks ago, they were going to reduce the west building to rubble. In 2 weeks, they rejuvenated that whole building?
Well, you got to understand, they had already tore out a lot of the carpet. A lot of the stuff had already been rehabbed as far as the mold being mitigated. So really all they had to do is they had to put some flooring in, move furniture in, move new beds in, and they were pretty much ready to go. Because all the damage was in the other building, and this building had the people that had been living there for a while, had some issues with cats. That had been already vacated and done up, so all they had to do is really throw some paint in the walls and move new furniture in, and it's ready to go.
Council, any other comments, questions, concerns? There's only one thing I can say. I'll approve it because I don't know if I have a leg to stand on that. I can't. But I gotta tell you that this hotel's got a real bad history, so this is up to you two people sitting right there to make this work. Because if it doesn't, the next thing I will recommend we knock it down no matter what.
So, I mean, we are prepared to go through there once a month and inspect it, and I think the county will, if we see something that's of interest, we've agreed with the county to give them a phone call, and they'll come in and do an inspection, but that's
All
where
right.
we're currently at.
Sounds
Well,
good.
just remember, it isn't just the inside, it's the things that happen in and around and with it. And I'm sure our chief will let us know also if there are problems out there. So that is, it's not just the inside, but it's the whole area, the whole big ball. So.
All right, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve reviewing Asteria's hotel license,
Effective immediately?
effective immediately.
There, in the suggested motion, also included the conditions that were presented at the meeting, which are just the findings from the last staff report, so if you want to include those.
I assume that when we have the ordinance out there, it covers that, but I would include that as well, thank you.
There were certain stipulations, I think, that you had put in place.
About inspections and
yeah.
they pay
I
and
would
all
expect
that.
that's all part of it.
Okay,
yes.
I just wanted to clarify so
No,
that we
that's
have
fine,
that right.
that's all part of
Okay,
it.
And I second the motion.
okay.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right,
You're open.
you're good.
Good luck. I think you got a gold mine sitting there, so.
Thank you, but it's been a tough challenge for last few months, and last 2 weeks I've been working like 15 hours a day, but you know,
Yeah,
the building just we got it out, pretty much everything, because most of the 99% of the problem was in the other building. But I wasn't gonna open this building, so I took out the carpet and furniture and everything, but I have a lot of resources to get it in last 2 weeks, and we put it in and we installed, so.
great.
Well,
I
congratulations.
thank you very much, and
Yes.
we'll try our best not to let the city down.
All right.
We have talked to police chief and have training with our staff and everything too, so.
Thank
I
you.
mean, yeah.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you once
All right.
again.
Yes, thank you.
All right, good luck. Item B, 136 Division Street, CUP, Event Center Space, Week Care Adult Daycare. John?
I'll make a brief report here. This request was submitted on behalf of the tenant with permission of the property owner to utilize the existing adult daycare business, the tenant space, which will continue, is proposed to continue to operate during regular daytime hours. But what they want to do is use it during evening and weekend hours periodically as event center space. Because it's not an explicitly listed use in the B2 district that it's in, we opted to categorize it under the kind of the catch-all category, that uses the city council determines to be of similar nature to listed conditional uses, and found not to be detrimental to the city's general health and welfare. I'd note that we do have similar uses in the same districts. We have both the Moose Lodge and the Legion that are considered event gathering type spaces. Those predate the current ordinance, but they never pose any trouble. Likewise, we have the Park Event Center located nearby, much larger than this, much larger, but that's also located in a B3 district, a little bit different, and was approved by the plan unit development process. In a case like this, if it were something they were doing, once or twice or a couple times, we probably wouldn't require the conditional use permit, but because it's something they want to do on a regular, semi-regular basis, we thought that the conditional use permit was the appropriate way to treat it. Basically, the proposed use would be allowable Monday to Friday, 7 p.m. till 11 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. No request beyond those hours, but I'd recommend the conditions allow an extra hour beyond that time for cleanup after event. That's pretty common for event center space, that once it's over, you get a little time to clean up before you have to be out of there. No plans or requests for alcohol service at all. Food would be catered in from off-site. They have a food service license from Stearns County that can be utilized for the facility. The property has the parking to accommodate the use. The parking requirement is actually the same for the adult daycare and the event center space, so same calculation. Realistically, the demand is likely to be a little bit higher for a event center use, but it's not that large a space that's going to create a burden, I don't believe. I'd recommend that if approved, that the building official establish the maximum occupancy for the event center space, that would be posted on site in the main area as well, just to ensure that everybody's well aware of that. They don't anticipate or really plan to have large events. They're talking 20 to 30 people, but trying to maximize the use of that space. That being said, I would recommend approval of the request with the conditions as outlined. Planning Commission reviewed and did recommend approval unanimously as well. We did not have any concerns or comments raised during the public hearing at all.
All right, council, any questions?
Is this building an area completely ADA accessible and with the proper restroom areas and?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. And that's via the adult daycare side of things, that it met recent inspections. And I would assume that the folks that would be using it for adult daycare purposes would tend to need the mobility components more than anyone that would be using it for event center space. But we would have the building official probably double check it and to confirm when they do their occupancy calculation as well. But as far as I'm aware, it meets all the current standards. And it also has the dual, similar to the Asteria, it has the county licensing component as well for their side too. So it gets another entity that looks at it periodically.
Do they have any idea what the capacity is going to be in there?
I don't. That's why I left it up to the building official to set a maximum occupancy. The,
He just turned around when he heard building official.
the narrative that they submitted advised that it's between 20 and 30 people most commonly, some maybe more. They don't intend to have weddings or anything in there, especially since it's kind of targeted towards the Somali community, and in the Somali culture, the weddings are an all-night affair. They begin at basically in the evening and go all night, but they don't want to get into that because it just is probably more challenging than they want to deal with. So it's going to be probably more, group get-togethers, folks that are new to the area, new immigrants, utilizing it for some of those, workshops and things, how to work within the community, renters' rights. Those are some of the things that they referenced in their narrative.
Because the reason I asked that is when I looked at it, the bathrooms look pretty small. Is that going to be a problem if they have, I don't know what you're, like I said, the capacity has everything to do with it. And like I said, the bathrooms look not very large in there to handle any more than 20 people.
Yeah, it may not be a bad idea with that in mind. Maybe we can revise the conditions or add a condition that just to give a little bit more of a safeguard that any facilities would have to meet ADA requirements for the applicable occupancy. I'd suggest something along that line. That might not be a bad incorporation.
All right. Anything else?
Can we sunset a conditional use permit?
Nope, those are only interim use permits.
That's a problem.
I
Because
don't-
that building could remain.
I don't think it is.
It could remain that forever and ever.
Kind of
if
an
you don't-
office building that has that little corner
If the
set
use
aside.
is,
It's been used as a school, it's been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
used
If the
as
use-
a daycare.
if the use doesn't continue for a year, it automatically goes away. So it expires.
So if they
after.
sell the building and
If they
something
sell
else,
the building, a new owner could come in there and utilize it in the same manner, but if it is sold and that use is not, if that use doesn't continue after it goes for a year, if there's a year break in between, then the use goes away.
Oh, and in a case like this is a tenant space as well, so tenants sometimes.
Come and go.
They do change over time. That's
Sure.
not uncommon. I know there's been a couple tenants in this building in the couple years I've been here.
And others may choose to use it in a different way.
All right, any other questions?
I am going to make a motion to approve the conditional permit with all the recommendations or conditions as mentioned.
Does that include the ADA requirement?
It meets it. It's the same office building you drive by.
no, we're going by capacity and
Wow.
number of, and how.
I'm not
large.
worried about it. No.
I'll include a caveat that that's more of a function of the building code that I would ask that our building official review. I mean, maybe Frank's right, maybe it is the same requirements, but in case it's not, we would have them double check and confirm in any case, but
'Cause the building
if you're
official-
more comfortable putting a condition on, I have zero issue.
Because the
with
building official will give us the occupancy number anyway there, so.
For the.
That's when your head turned around as you were walking out.
Well, can I wait just 1 second? Because we do have a motion. I don't know that we have a second on that motion, and I want to, and so then maybe reference.
You
let the
can
second-
add John's reference to my motion.
Okay, is there a
as under
second,
the
and then you
condition.
can call for discussion?
Yeah, there is, okay, Jeff.
Who's the second?
Vic.
Okay, Vic. All right, I just wanted to get that off the table for.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with this, but if it's an event center and it's an A occupancy, it might be a change of occupancy that would drive more requirements. If it has, depending upon occupant load, there's a set amount of facilities that are required depending upon what the occupant load is. So we'll look at that
Okay.
when the plans come in, or if there's no change in anything. That change of occupancy would drive it, so that's.
And forgive me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but maybe that might determine their maximum occupancy as well, that they could have X number of people and not trigger a requirement to put in.
Well, actually, we're gonna go by the square footage, and that's the number we're gonna
That's
use,
the way it
and
works.
that'll drive the issue, and so, that'll be what it,
We've also raised the ADA issue, Jeff. The ADA issue, and I haven't seen the facility, but Mike says those restrooms are really small. And I know from experience, we need 5 feet to be able to turn a wheelchair around the head of a stool. We need 5
Right,
feet to rotate.
but if they don't have to make any changes, I can't drive that issue. If they have to make a change and there's a building permit issue, then we can influence some of that, but it all depends on what that looks like, so that's a depends answer. I hate to give you that, but that's what it
Well,
is.
It
Kinda-
depends on, but it's all could be a condition for us.
So yeah.
All right, anything else? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. All right, item C, consider phased retirement agreement and changes to Minnesota post-retirement plan.
Council members, as you are aware, we have been working with Keith Lindberg, and I believe it was last year he announced that he'd like to go into a phased retirement, which, as during the budget discussion, that's kind of allowed us to do some transitioning in our departments to really see whether or not we have the ability to train a new person into that finance position. And so it gives Keith the opportunity to continue to work part-time, while also allowing us the opportunity to utilize his knowledge and expertise to train our staff to take that on. Finance directors are very difficult positions in government to replace and to find because they're so specialized. And so we're very pleased that he's willing to consider this. So the agreement that you have before you is an agreement that I'd actually received from the League of Minnesota Cities. And it's really laid out based off of the way that PERA defines how a phased retirement. So last year during the legislative session, PERA allowed for a permanent consideration of their phased retirement. And so there's certain stipulations that have to go in. So the number of hours and things like that we have to keep track of. And so essentially what we did with the phased retirement is basically cut all of the benefits that, as a finance director, that Keith would normally receive in half. And we tried to do that in the most equitable way. Because of IRS reasons, he is not able to be under our health insurance plan. He's also not able to receive any contributions for this entire year for our health savings plan. And so typically the city contributes between our health premiums and that HSA $25,000, I think $500. And so when you divide that in half, we took those benefits and put it into a deferred comp situation as a choice for him, or the other benefits that we offer to other employees, and give him that flexibility. And so he would be able to receive up to $12,500 in those benefits. Anything that
$750.
I'm sorry. Yes, it is. And
Okay, yeah.
Keith gave me one number once, and then wait, we were like, no, this is the right one. So I apologize. And so those numbers go into that. Anything that goes above that amount would be something that would be paid for out of his own pocket for benefits. And so we tried to keep the most equitable way. I think there's benefits for both for him as well as the city. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions related to that. And maybe I'll stop there because there's one other component to this that that we need to consider as well. But if you have any questions about the actual phased retirement agreement, I'd be happy to answer those at this time.
Council, any questions?
Are we gonna be, I'm assuming we'll be pretty flexible on his hours that he wants to work?
He sets his hours. We had to move him from a salaried to an hourly because we have to keep track of his hours, and he cannot exceed the half-time hours. And so that was a requirement in the league. I asked the league, I'm like, well, how do I do this? And they recommended that you just move him to an hourly.
He wants to work 10 hours one week?
He can do that.
Can do that,
Yep.
or whatever?
Yep, it's just, he knows, and we are working through Lori, our payroll HR clerk, on making sure that whatever reporting requirements we are obligated for PERA, so that we don't put him into a negative situation with that we have that done. So yes, he has complete flexibility as he has, so.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
I had sent Sean an email this afternoon. One of the paragraphs here I don't quite understand. It's on page 2, just above other group health insurance plans. It says in preceding years, the city agrees to pay you up to 1/2 of the dollar amount they agree to pay towards health insurance.
Yep.
Is that expected to be proceeding years, not
Yeah.
previous years?
Yeah, it's going forward, yes,
That
I'll
was a-
make
that
that
was a
change,
pre-
yeah.
That was a typo.
And so what that means, Vic, is essentially that what we have a dollar amount that we contribute up to for each of our employees that's set for 2020. We have union negotiations that will be set for 2021. Those numbers may change. So we will take basically half of what we agree to pay full-time employees and give towards that. It was difficult to explain, so I tried to do it in the example so that you could understand how we were dividing that out. But then I also wanted to make sure that you understood that that number could change based off of what our
For me,
contributions.
are we talking the preceding, are we talking
Forward,
succeeding
forward.
years?
Forward.
Yeah, well, this is backwards.
Yep.
So we
And we'll
need
make
to
that
change that
change.
word.
Yep.
Yeah, that word needs
Yep.
to be changed.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions on this? Okay, what else you got?
Okay, so then the other piece to this is that our employees, and it's required under the council to approve this, but these are contributions that are made, purely just by our own employees. What we call Minnesota, our Minnesota Health Care Savings Account Plans. So essentially what we do is we have each individual group. So each one of our union groups is its own member, and then our non-union employees are all in another group. And we each contribute a percentage of our wages that go into this tax-free and can be used tax-free for medical purposes, for expenses. Typically when you retire, you can use them if you leave employment here as well. We also have unused balances of our sick leave that will go into those for different groups. Now that we have this option of a phased retirement, somebody that's in that phased retirement no longer has an interest in putting that 1%, which is what our non-union group contributes as part of their salary into it. So we're allowed to create a separate group because now he's different than our full-time employees, and we can call him a non-union phased retirement option employee that basically allows for us to put any of those balances that he would otherwise have for sick leave to go in there, but nothing else. There's really no advantages for Keith at this particular point for him to do that. But this would apply to anybody else that we would have that would go into a phased retirement. We aren't putting a policy together for phased retirement, so you can consider those phased retirement plans on a case-by-case basis, because not every position would that be a warranted thing, depending upon where we're at with our organization and decisions that we may want to make. So as part of that, the language that you have in here essentially covers that, and so that would require a separate motion for the council to make
So does it matter how you sequence that? Are we gonna
No.
approve the retirement savings plan group
I
changes?
would recommend that one first and then do the other one.
Well, I would make that motion.
To approve the Minnesota Post-Retirement Savings Plan Group changes?
Yes, to approve the savings plan group.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. And then the other one?
Move to approve that one
To approve the
with the change in the
pro
wording?
agreement as presented.
No, as the change in the wording.
That one is the one, I'll make that one, that was a motion, Mike, that Vic had made. I'll make that change in that.
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. All right.
Thank you.
Item D, consider purchase of chairs for the ledge.
There's the chair that we have all known and liked, that if you recall, as we looked at that, we've looked at a number of different chairs. I think the last time we checked and talked with you, we were looking at maybe different color options, concerned maybe about the heat and stuff. We did have in your packet a couple of different color options. We did learn today that any other color option is more money. It's about $1.50. $1.30, excuse me, a chair more. Quite honestly, I think when Bill and I don't know that we think that it's big enough issue. I think the black, to be honest, will look the best.
Yes.
It's up to you guys, but from staff's perspective, we'd like to save the $1.30 in a chair if we can, but you tell us what you want to do.
Well, most of them shows are gonna be at night and the sun's already gonna be down, so there isn't
I
gonna
don't think
be
it's gonna be as hot
a
as
big issue of them absorbing the heat either.
No, I don't either. I think black's gonna make a nice, I think it's gonna stand out. I think it'll make it look classier. So.
Yeah, the other thing I'm gonna show you up here. everybody was wondering about the ganging option. He was not able to get us a chair that had the ganging hardware on it. So he sent us a picture, and it's kind of hard to see, but if you look on here, there's just this little stub here on this side, and the other side, there's a receiver for that stub. This is just showing you a picture of them ganged together, so you can see at this point, this is how they're ganged together. So that was included in the quote that.
That is included in the
That is
price.
included into it, correct.
All right, somebody want to move something?
Move the chair.
Well, I didn't really like that choice of chair, but I see a chair that's not easily repaired. It's more disposable than other models.
Well, they're kind of all that way, I think.
Yeah, some have
This
metal.
one seems to be the most maintenance-free. So.
Well, let's get a motion on the table.
I'll make a motion for the black. I'll
5,000?
Yes.
I got a motion and a second to buy black chairs, 5,000 of them.
Second.
Whatever.
The Airflex, model is 1410, yeah, gee, sorry.
Oh,
I didn't hear you when you were.
I didn't say it till now.
With
either.
ganging option.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think we found ourselves some chairs. All right. Item 6, approve bills.
Question on the bill. Is there a $3,000 panic button at Public Works? Where was the panic button installed?
A panic button installed.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask Carla or Jesse.
Yeah,
I don't know. Where, is that out of your department, Bill?
I don't remember that, but
You remember?
I
which
thought
one
it
is?
mentioned Public Works, but,
I'll
we
ask
can
her
look
and then
into it,
we'll
Frank.
email you back.
get you back.
all right.
Any other questions on the bills?
Well, I do have a comment for Dave. He was right on the price of that repair on that squad.
Yeah, don't buy a Ford Explorer or whatever the heck they are.
Because I did do some checking on it, and
That wasn't me.
he's right.
Only
Ford is absolutely
It's only
asinine.
$1,500 in labor to replace a $200 part.
I know there was questions on that bill there, and I think you maybe understand that now, but there was also a transmission issue with the power takeoff unit, so that exacerbated the size of that bill. But yes, the location of the water pump is problematic on the Fords.
I'll keep up on their lawsuit and tell them you want to be in part of it.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right, your wishes on the bills.
Move to approve. I'll second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passed unanimously. I do have, actually, I got quite a few. I have a thank you from Anna Maria's Alliance for the $1,500 donation that we gave them this year from our charitable gambling fund. I have a thank you from Boys and Girls Club for the $2,000 donation we gave them for Smart Moves from our charitable gambling fund. I do have a thank you from Centricare Health Foundation for the $5,000 gift we gave for the Child Advocacy Center from our charitable gambling fund. I do have a thank you from Minnesota, well, it's not the Minnesota, the Initiative Foundation. It doesn't say how much we gave them, but whatever we gave them, they're thanking us for it from our charitable gambling fund. And I got a thank you from the Paramount Center for the Arts for the $1,000 contribution from the charitable gambling fund. All I got. Shauna? Oh, there was nothing at the open forum today. Public input.
Just to let you know, Heidi Frecking, our new administrative associate, started today. So many of you will probably see her in the office, maybe answering the phones, or if you come in to pay a bill. And then also just wanted to touch base, the League of Minnesota Cities has their legislative conference the March 18th and 19th. The coalition also has their lobbying day, March 11th. So if you have an interest in attending any of them for the league, because that's 2 days, I would like to know that today if you can, because I will have to go and make the hotel reservations to take advantage of the discount as it expires today, so.
Put me down for March 11th.
Okay.
Is that the League of Minnesota Cities?
The league, the coalitions is the 11th. That's their lobbying day, and the leagues
I would,
is
I would like to attend that one.
to the coalition,
Yes.
okay? And I already knew, how about you, Frank? Did you get a chance to
the coalition yet. Is anybody going to the league?
I might.
No, I'm not going to any of them, I don't think.
All right.
Okay. All right. That's all I.
March
that's all
is
I-
busy, so, all right. Terry? No, sir. Bill? John?
I do have a,
Next?
I'm gonna get them next time. Just a reminder, mainly for anyone that watches these later at home. The census will be coming out pretty shortly, mid-March. Basically, the census is transitioning to instead of a letter right away, you'll get a postcard with a web link that you can go and do it on your phone or on your computer or your tablet, whatever. For the first time, you'll have the ability to do it electronically. But those should start landing in mailboxes mid-March. If you don't respond to that, then you'll get a letter, then eventually a visit from a census taker, as in all the days gone by. Just encourage folks to undertake that and make sure that they get everyone in their house and their dwelling counted. For every person that doesn't get counted, that should be, that's about $15,000 in federal funding that's lost through the various programs. The business world, economic development side, they use census data to decide where to put businesses. So if you want new and different kind of businesses, places to eat, fill out that census. And also the congressional districting is all tied to census response too. So real easy to fill out, but I'd encourage everyone to do just that.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Chief? Good. I didn't ask you.
Speak into your,
What?
The federal government decided to throw a primary election on March 3rd, which means we can't do on March 2nd. So I'll be in touch with you about dates. I forgot about that. My apologies. So we will stay tuned for more details on exactly when, but. Well, I'll follow up with you. We don't need to decide that today, so we can make sure that we look at everyone's calendars for availability.
All right. We have nothing else. We are adjourned at 7:13.